Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for August the 10th, 2020 as we get closer to SummerSlam, the biggest party of the summer. The tagline this year, you'll never see it coming. Shout out to the chat room. Thank you for tuning in, whether it's live or on demand. Let's go ahead and get started. We kicked off with a graphic for Kamala, who sadly passed away. Condolences go out to his family and friends, the Ugandan giant. I'm sure we'll talk more about him on the No DQ review, so tune in for that. We had Samoa Joe in the ring for my favorite segment. You all know I love the contract signings. But this wasn't just one contract. You see, WWE is changing it up. This was a contract signing for two contracts because Dominic Mysterio was going to sign his contract to be a WWE superstar and sign his contract to fight Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. Now, Samoa Joe mentioned that he cannot touch Rollins because he is not medically cleared. If he touches Rollins, he loses his job. Dominic came out with his trusty kendo stick that he used on last week's show. Rollins referred to Dominic as a scared little boy. Samoa Joe took the kendo stick and held on to it and said that this whole situation with Rollins is sad because he should be seeing Seth freaking Rollins, not the Messiah. And Joe talked about how Rollins has given Dominic no choice. A person who has no experience in wrestling has no choice but to go against Rollins at the pay-per-view. Rollins responded by saying he did give Dominic a choice, just like he gave Rey Mysterio a choice, Aleister Black. All of them made the wrong decisions. And he tried to be Seth freaking Rollins, but everybody crapped on him. Dominic said that Rollins only cares about himself, is only doing the greater good for his own personal benefit. And Dominic said his dream at SummerSlam is to kick Seth Rollins' ass. Rollins basically laughed this off and said Dominic will not last 10 seconds, but he's gonna make a deal with Dominic. Dominic can use the kendo stick. Dominic can use whatever he wants. So that way there's no excuses when Rollins ends his career before it even begins. We had Dominic and Rollins sign the match contract. Dominic signed his WWE contract, so he is officially a WWE superstar. No table flipping over, no table breaking. For contract signing segment, it was one of the better ones, I suppose. Still, I feel like I want to give this a letter grade down. We had Seth Rollins versus Humberto, who hasn't really done much lately. Murphy interfered in this match. He got on the apron. However, Dominic used the kendo stick on Murphy, but still, the distraction was enough for Humberto to lose focus, and Rollins picked up the victory with the curb stomp. So, stupid babyface tonight. Humberto gets distracted, costs him the match. And then afterwards, Murphy attacked Dominic. Dominic was able to fight him off briefly, but was outnumbered 2-1. And then Rollins just beat the holy crap out of Dominic with the kendo stick, repeatedly hitting him with it. There was another kendo stick. Rollins gave it to Murphy. They took off Dominic's shirt, and they tied up Dominic in the ropes, and then Murphy went to the outside of the ring and hit Dominic in the back with the kendo stick while Rollins was hitting Dominic in the stomach inside the ring. This was a pretty crazy beatdown here with the kendo sticks. I thought that this was really good. I liked this angle to set up the match at SummerSlam. And Rollins was like, the kid has to pay his dues. Almost felt like that. Almost felt like this was one of those real life initiations where the rookie gets hazed and he gets chopped or whatever. In this case, the upstart Dominic is getting his lashing. He's getting his beat down with the kendo sticks, and he had welts all across his body. Again, I thought this was a pretty strong angle to set up the SummerSlam match. ZOMG Ruler with a $2 super chat. First one of the evening. He says, nobody helps Dominic? Joe was so defensive of him. Well, at least in Joe's case, WWE did have it in the storyline that Joe could not put his hands on Rollins or he would lose his job. But yeah, what about everybody else? I thought Rey Mysterio was like the most respected guy in the locker room and nobody was helping him. But this stuff happens all the time. You just got to let it go. TJS with a $1 super chat. Shout out to TJS. He sent a pie sticker. What type of pie do you like, TJS? Or do you like EC3 strudel? That's what I'm wondering. We had a recap of what happened on Smackdown with Retribution. And then we had Andrade come out for a match one-on-one with Angelo Dawkins from the Street Profits, the tag team champions. No Montez Ford because last week he was poisoned by somebody. Zelina got on the mic and said she's innocent until proven guilty. She denied that she poisoned Ford. We had this match and Vega got on the apron trying to interfere, cause the distraction, and hope that Dawkins would be a stupid babyface. But this time, it did not work. Bianca Belair ran out and knocked Vega off the apron. Dawkins hit the cash out to win the match. So, for those of you keeping score, Dawkins, a smarter babyface than poor Humberto. Although maybe he's just a luckier babyface and somehow managed to not lose despite the distraction. And then afterwards, we had another match, impromptu. Bianca Belair one-on-one with Zelina Vega. Vega tried some dirty tricks, going for the eyes when the referee wasn't looking. But in the end, Belair picked up the victory with the kiss of death. And then after the match, there was a post-match promo, and basically it was confirmed that Ford will be at SummerSlam for the Street Profits to defend their tag team titles, and they're going to get the smoke. Looks like Belair is finally getting a push here, and there was this report that Vince is high on her and high on Peyton Royce. And we'll get to Peyton Royce here in just a few minutes. We had an MVP lounge segment, and MVP talked about how there's a conspiracy, how the lights flickered, and Apollo never beat him last week. Apollo came out, said MVP's just making excuses. MVP said Apollo was a bad decision maker. And then Apollo responded by saying he can make bad decisions because he is a bad man. And he said that at SummerSlam, the only lights that will be going out will be MVP's lights. Cruz managed to outmaneuver the Hurt Business and took out MVP and then picked up the MVP lounge chair, or not the chair, the couch, and tossed it over the top rope to the outside. We had a match between Apollo and Shelton Benjamin after the commercial break. By the way, anybody in the chat room that says, what's up, I cannot type and respond. So I'm doing great, guys, and thank you for your messages. But just letting you know, I'm not responding to the what's up because, I'm doing a review here. I'm doing great. Thank you, guys. So we had this match, and MVP attempted to interfere again. Or not MVP, Lashley tried to interfere, trying to trip Apollo Crews. Apollo got distracted, turned around and looked at Lashley. Shelton Benjamin took advantage of the situation and rolled up Apollo Crews. 1, 2, 3. So yes, fruit roll up. Shelton Benjamin beats the United States champion, but it's not Shelton Benjamin getting the title match at the pay-per-view. It's MVP. Chalk another one up in the stupid babyface column. This time, Apollo Crews gets distracted and loses to a fruit roll-up. And then after the match, Lashley was going to put on the full Nelson. MVP did not want him to do that, though, because he wants Apollo to be healthy for the pay-per-view. And then just as he said that, MVP attempted a cheap shot, but Apollo kicked MVP and then took off before he could get beat down by the Hurt Business any further. Mike B with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. He says, congratulations to Adrian for winning the title from me at the very last second. A very worthy competitor. You deserve it. For those of you that are not aware of what he's talking about, Adrian is the reigning and defending No DQ Super Chat champion. The title's on the line every week when we do the YouTube premiere of No DQ&A video. Stay tuned this weekend for another edition. Back to the recap here of Raw. Outside the building, we had this official run-up to Retribution. Now, apparently, according to Tom Phillips at least, there was going to be extra security. Apparently, they're the Keystone Cops or whatever. They were nowhere to be found. No security, just this one guy who told these hooligans, these whippersnappers, to go home. The other guy, who appeared to be a bit taller than the guys we saw on SmackDown, said, "You go home." And then they took a cinder block, they threw it through a window, and then after the window was broken, they took a second cinder block and threw it into the area that used to have a window. Why not just throw it at a different window? Why ruin a perfectly good second cinder block for no reason? But anyways, they all started celebrating, jumping up and down, woohoo, and very happy, and then they ran off. This was so dumb. I mean, this was like a couple of middle school kids pranking somebody's house. Like, it was bad. And not bad in the Apollo Crews, I'm bad. It was just bad. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, the NWO Wolfpack is better than Retribution. I would say SEX was better than Retribution. Mo Camera with a $2.79 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, at least Ricochet is more entertaining than Roman Reigns. Ooh. Psycho Jet Black, what do you think about that one? I'm curious your thoughts on that. We had the return of Mickie James, who has been out of action for quite a while. She was actually cleared earlier this year and was planning to return, but then we had COVID-19 basically screw up whatever plans there were for her returning. But she's back now, and she has championship gold on her mind. However, she was interrupted in this backstage promo by Natalya and Lana, who have not been seen for about a month. If you recall, Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson, whatever you want to call him, Natalya's husband, he had a fever but did not test positive for COVID. However, just to play things safe, WWE kept Natalya home for a while. And then Lana's family, her parents, tested positive for COVID, and Lana was kept off TV for several weeks. They're back now. Lana went back to her blonde hair, and Natalya and Lana had these matching outfits, and they have a new hashtag because Natalya has won the most matches in WWE in the women's division. She's the BOAT, the best of all time. And Mickie responded by saying, boats sink. And she'll see Natalya next week on Raw. Christian Ramirez with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, Ricochet is more over than boring, iconic Peyton. Ooh, well, Ricochet is getting some love tonight. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. So here's his response. He says, Roman Reigns is a better wrestler than Ricochet. What do you guys think about that one? Are you Team Ricochet or Team Big Dog Roman Reigns when it comes to in-ring performance? Let me know in the chat room. And we had the Raiders. Speaking of Ricochet, him and Cedric Alexander were backstage with the Viking Raiders. And that Bachelor girl was there again, talking about how Ivar is cute, Eric not so much. We had an 8-man tag team match with the guys I mentioned against Tozawa and the Ninjas. Why do you still have the Ninjas around, especially when you have Retribution and they look very similar? Quite frankly, I think both groups should be dropped, but that's just me. Pretty nothing match here. Viking Raiders won. And then afterwards, one of the Ninjas that did not get involved in the match rolled up Tozawa to win the 24/7 title. Of course, it was R-Truth. Don't care about the title. I checked out of the 24/7 title division a long time ago. He's a 38-time champion, if anybody cares. I don't, but got to talk about it here, so there you go. We had Liv Morgan versus Peyton Royce in a one-on-one match. And before the match, the Iconics cut a promo saying that the team of Liv and Ruby will not last. And what do you know? More distractions. This Raw had a lot of people getting on the apron, I'll say that much. This time it was Billie Kay getting on the apron, and then Ruby Riott got on the apron to try and counteract this. Liv, of course, stupid babyface, gets distracted, and then Peyton Royce takes advantage of Liv getting distracted and wins with her finisher, the Deja Vu. Like I said earlier, Vince is reportedly high on Bianca Belair and Peyton Royce, and there you go. They picked up wins on this week's Raw. We had Asuka versus Bayley. If Asuka won, she would get a title match against Sasha Banks at SummerSlam for the Raw Women's Championship. Lights were flickering during the match, so apparently the Retribution guys were still raising hell outside the Performance Center. And what do you know? Yet another person getting on the apron. This time it was Sasha Banks getting on the apron, attempting to interfere. It actually worked, but thankfully Asuka was able to come back and not lose in stupid babyface manner. Lots of submissions going back and forth, and this was a good match. I did have a little bit of issues getting into it just because to me it was very predictable. Clearly it's going to be Asuka versus Sasha at SummerSlam. And interesting finish here because Bayley, the champion, despite her elbow drop, not getting the job done, Bayley mocked Kairi Sane, and that was her undoing. Asuka hit the Asuka lock, put it on, and Bayley tapped out. The Smackdown Women's Champion taps out to Asuka, who's challenging Sasha for the championship. Did they really need to do a submission finish? Just wondering. But again, it was a good match. Probably the best actual match on the show. The main event was good, but we'll get to the main event here in a few moments. And then the moment of the show you've all been waiting for, the Raw Underground. First fight was this guy, Arturo Ruas. He won. And then we had that Daba Kato guy beat a guy, knocked him out. But before he did that, he actually grabbed him in his junk. This was probably the most interesting thing about this segment, although we did have Shayna Baszler show up, and she beat up 3 women. I guess this whole Raw Underground thing is being done to establish some new talent, a different approach to get these guys over. I mean, I didn't really care about it, but I guess it was a step up from last week, but that's not saying much. Then we had Retribution once again wreaking havoc. This time they tipped over a car. What rebels these guys are. They're tipping over cars. They're breaking windows with cinder blocks. They're flickering the lights again. They mean business. These juvenile delinquents, or maybe they're adults, who knows. I'm presuming they're adults. We had our main event match, which was Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. Ric Flair was there at ringside. Owens dominated the match early on, but then Orton got the advantage. He threw Owens into the steel steps. Owens' shoulder was hurt. Owens was suplexed onto the announce table. Owens managed to make another comeback, but then he attempted the stunner, got countered into the RKO. Randy Orton picked up the victory over Kevin Owens. No surprise here, Orton's challenging for the title. Owens hasn't really been a big factor in storylines because he's been gone for a while, come back, leave, come back. So WWE's not really investing in him in a long-term storyline right now, because all it will probably take is another... Excuse me. We're live. All it's going to take is another outbreak for Owens to take another hiatus from WWE. So no surprise here that Orton picked up the victory, and this was a fine match. But yeah, I think overall, probably the best match on the show was Bayley versus Asuka. After the match was really the big story here. We had Ric Flair and Randy Orton. Randy Orton told Rick not to leave the ring. We had a commercial. After the commercial, Orton said he was pissed off at Ric Flair because the match with Owens did not need to happen. It was Ric Flair and his ego that led to the match happening. And now Randy Orton just sees Ric Flair as a liability. He brought up how he used to love Ric Flair. Back in 2003, Randy Orton said he got in trouble and Ric Flair was the only person to help him, be there for him. But now he doesn't love Ric Flair anymore. He doesn't respect him. And Orton said he doesn't need Ric Flair. He doesn't need a guy who has a pacemaker, a guy who was in a coma 2 years ago. If this had a real crowd, this would have gotten the ooh and ahs when he brought up the coma. Orton said that Flair is washed up, can't do it anymore, and Flair said, yeah, you're right. Flair said he just wants to be part of the spotlight. He said Hulk Hogan calls him up and asks what it's like to be on Raw. He said he wants Randy Orton's approval. He wants Randy Orton to break his record of 17 times as champion. Not John Cena's record, his record 16 times. And Flair said that after his coma, all he wanted to do was tell everybody that was important in his life that he loved them. He started getting emotional, and he said, yeah, he's not that old Ric Flair. Now he's just Charlotte's dad, and he wants to be in Randy's life. That's all he wants. Orton threw down the mic and hugged him, and you knew where this was going. You knew something shady was going down. Shanti with a $2 super chat says, Ric Flair's speech felt like a small eulogy in a way. Yeah, kind of did. And they were hugging. All of a sudden, low blow to Ric Flair from Randy Orton. Flair did not take any bumps here. I mean, the guy, I don't believe, was cleared to take any bumps. So what happened here was Orton gave Flair a low blow. Flair was standing there. You know, most guys get hit with a low blow. They take a bump to the ground. Instead, Flair stood there selling the low blow, and Randy Orton very gently brought Ric Flair down to the mat. I thought this was a great angle, but man, it's so clear. Like Randy Orton's got to be super careful with Ric Flair to gently put him down on the mat, and we're supposed to believe that he doesn't give a shit about Ric Flair, but they did their best here. They really did. So I'm gonna give him a little bit of a break here. So after gently putting Ric Flair on the ground, Randy Orton went into the corner. You know what he's going for. Lights started flickering again. He ran to do the punt. Lights went out, and then they came back on, and we're supposed to believe that Randy Orton gave Ric Flair the punt. So creative way from WWE, using the lights flickering and everything from Retribution to not have to show the punt, you know, because they're not going to take any chances with Ric Flair taking any bumps or taking any kind of a blow to the head, even if it's a worked punt. They don't want to take any chances with him. So the lights go out, and, you know, you just assume that it happened. The game is on 100 with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, we got a 10 to 12 minute match and then the Flair angle to end the show. I knew Orton was going to punt Flair to get heat on Orton for his match against Drew McIntyre. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious once Orton told Flair to not leave the ring. And plus, there was already a report on NoDQ.com that Flair was going to be written out of storylines. So that was already on the internet. Drew McIntyre ran down. He referred to Orton as an evil son of a bitch, and he's going to hurt him. He's going to hurt him really bad at SummerSlam. And that was the end of Raw. Really strong angle. I mean, Ric Flair did a great job on the mic. As always, he's Ric Flair. And Orton's stuff was good too. I like Orton's facial reactions as McIntyre was threatening him. Orton did a great job. Everybody did a great job in this. I enjoyed the ending. Strong start to Raw, strong ending. Some meh throughout the show. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, what if Randy Orton is the leader of Retribution New Legacy? I suppose that's always a possibility. Maybe to be like Bully Ray being the leader of Aces and Eights. Although, I feel like if Randy Orton, the guy is intelligent, I think he should stay as far away from that group as possible. Yeah, NWO, this is not. But all in all, it was a decent Raw. What did you guys think? Let me know your letter grade. I'm giving it a C. Average Raw with a strong ending and strong close. Most of the middle to me was meh. Didn't really do much for me, but I did like a few of the segments on the show. Don gives it a B. ZOMG Ruler gives it a B. Jeremy Dorset with a C+. Mike B with a C+. Mohammed with a C minus, Shaddy Snake with a C plus, CC Drink with a C plus, JSpin401 with a C minus, and Matt Helms with a C. Ace and his Familia Vlogs with an A minus. There you go. Mo Camera gives it a D. Well, wait a minute, Mo Camera. There was no Roman Reigns, so you got to bump your letter grade up a little bit. And ARS757 with a B plus, and Dominic with a B plus. Feels like you guys liked it a little bit more than I did. Again, I think some of the segments like the Retribution and the Raw Underground brought it down, but then the stronger segments balanced it out to around a C. TJS with a $10 super chat. Thank you for that, Tyler. I appreciate it. He says, as a kid, I cried that I couldn't go to my friend's house to watch WrestleMania 27. I begged to go there to watch weekly. Cried when Ray lost the I Quit to Chavo in 2007. I don't enjoy product, but kid in me can't stop watching. Wait a minute. You cried about not being able to go to WrestleMania 27? 27. The one with The Miz and The Rock and John Cena. That WrestleMania? You cried over that? You know what? When I was a kid, I thought a lot of the lousy stuff was good too, so I'll cut you a break. Thank you, TJS. And Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Josh. Says, Stephanie's music is more over than Baron Corbin. Hashtag love her theme. Josh, I should throw this water bottle at the screen right now for that comment. I should pull a Big E and throw something at you like he does to Corey Graves. And yes, TJS, I know you were a kid back then. I forget. You guys got to keep in mind, TJS he's a youngster. He's like 21 or 22, something like that. So WrestleMania 27, that was a long time ago. That was like a decade ago. Crazy to think. Ken terminated by DQ with an $11 super chat. Thank you for that, Ken. I appreciate it. He says, Aaron, if you upload the Eddie Guerrero documentary to Dailymotion, thank you, and thank you for keeping me as your mod. Despite my controversial tactics, ask Greg Cherry. Upload the Eddie Guerrero documentary. If I had it, I would consider it, but I don't have it, so actually I would not consider it. I'm not going to upload WWE's copyrighted material, so you're going to have to look elsewhere for that one, unfortunately. Or just go on Amazon. I'm sure they're available on Amazon. You could buy the documentary, if the DVD, if that's what you're talking about. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Psycho. He says, Spirit Squad is more intimidating than Retribution. You know what's funny? As I was watching this, I almost felt like this was the Spirit Squad with masks. Imagine these guys. Retribution, like imagine them as the Spirit Squad. It almost feels like they're the same guys, the way they act, you know, just celebrating and high-fiving each other and running around like a couple of goofs. We should call them that now. We should call them Spirit Squad. Spirit Squad with masks. There you go. JSpin401 says Retribution equals the attack of the Vanilla Midgets. Yeah, very much so. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. I will be back with the No DQ review, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, Tuesday night. Tune in for that and join the chat room. We'll be discussing a lot of the big stories of the week. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Stay positive. Be safe. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. And I will see you guys. Wait. TJS with a $2 super chat says, well, Seymour, I made it despite your directions. Little Simpsons reference there. TJS is a good guy. Likes The Simpsons. He was listening to Sgt. Pepper earlier, so I applaud TJS. A young man, but he has good taste in music and TV shows. And Ken sent in a $5 super chat, says, sorry, Rift, I met you uploaded the Eddie Guerrero documentary years ago when it had the No DQ intro. Thank you for that and keeping me as a mod. I don't even remember that, Ken, but are you sure it wasn't somebody else that did that? Anyways, thank you for that, Ken. Thank you for clearing that up. Take care, everybody. I will see you all next time. Have a great night and enjoy the rest of your week.